To start the Iran versus America Israel war on February 28th, the very first masterstroke that the Americans and the Israelis did was to unalive the supreme leader of Iran, the immediate past supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But there was a tweet among the many tweets that the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei did before he died, before he was unalived, that he addressed to President Trump, and President Trump found a way to miss. In fact, a lot of us actually found a way to not look in the direction of that tweet. And that tweet is making all the difference today. What is that tweet? In that tweet, former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei was addressing President Trump. And he was telling him that, you see, if you look at the history of the past leaders in the world whose leaderships, whose rule fell, that a lot of times the rules did not fall when they were at the trough, when they were at the bottom of their power, but the rule actually fell when they were at the peak, at the zenith, at the very top, at the very apogee of their power. And he gave two particular historical examples. That is the former supreme leader. He gave the example of Nebuchadnezzar, who is largely a biblical example, so it may be a bit far from us. But he also gave the example of Napoleon Bonaparte, who is a much more recent, a much more closer example. But you see, I will not blame President Trump. I would not even blame Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, who jointly came together, to do the attack, to start this war, to trigger this war against them, against Iran. Why? I will blame two things. One, I will blame historical precedent, exactly immediately recent historical precedent. And I will also blame, and not even blame, the intelligence agencies of the US and Israel. I will not blame them. I will blame what I will call a misjudgment of the fig leaves they were reading. Let me dig deep into what I mean by both. You see, by historical precedent, I refer to Venezuela. Very fast attack. Just 2 hours. Look at Iran. We are now in the 5th week of Iran, but Venezuela took just 2 hours. Everywhere decapitated, everywhere decapitated, everywhere discombobulated, everybody necessary arrested, picked up, taken to the US, put in jail, and charged, to federal court. And all the leaders that were left, all that was necessary was to serve them a basic threat, and everybody conformed. Everybody complied, and ever since then, Venezuela essentially became a vassal of the United States of America. You see, if you are coming from such an experience, it is absolutely normal. It is absolutely natural to assume that Iran would be like Venezuela. In fact, if Iran would not be like Venezuela, at least Iran would be much closer to Venezuela than it will be farther from it. From the angle of the intelligence agencies of the America and the US, you know what confused them? You know what they read wrong? They read wrong the actual percentage, the actual proportion or fraction of Iranian citizens who were against the leadership, the clerical leadership that the Americans and the internationalists and the Israelis like to call the mullahs. They truly believed, based on what some opposition elements, were passing to them in terms of what they were reading on the ground, that the vast majority of Iranians had actually, were actually fed up with the rule of the clerical establishment. And if they get any support at all, internal or external, to take them over, they will actually do the heavy lifting and take over the leadership of the country and chase away the mullahs. So based on that assumption, the intelligence agencies built their military strategy around that assumption, and they fed that intelligence to the leaders in terms of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and based on that, they proceeded to war. Unfortunately, it worked against them. Why did it work against them? It worked against them due to the rally around the flag effect. I had discussed that already. You see, even the United States of America, if it suffers the kind of assaults that Iran is suffering at this time, trust me, every element in the US of A, Democrats, Republicans, MAGA, non-MAGA, America first, non-America first, whatever political leaning, whatever ideological leaning you actually subscribe to, they would dump everything and they will rally around the President Trump. Why? Because country first. It is natural human instinct. Country first, usually, before leader. It is only situations where the leaders have actually performed so badly, or the social fabric of that society has become so torn. That is where it is only in such situations that you have scenarios, where the people actually help, the external, assaulters to actually topple the government of the day. You have several countries that are in such examples. What now complicated the entire thing and made the tide turn relatively in favor of Iran compared to in favor of America and Israel is the fact of the geography again of the Strait of Hormuz. Essentially, it's a screw that Iran keeps whining, and because they are whining it, all other countries of the world are feeling that pain, and then they are back channeling the pressure due to that pain on President Trump. And that brings us back to the warning of the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who once Trump. That you see, when leaders fall, a lot of times they don't fall when they are at the lowest level of their power. A lot of them they fall, they get to the very peak and then they tumble down. I hope and pray that you have learned from this video. Please again, don't forget to comment, to ask your questions, and I'll gladly answer them, and I'll gladly interact with you in the comment thread of this particular video. Again, don't forget to like, to share, to broadcast, and to help us spread the message of this video. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.